Hi there, my name's Alexander Rosso, and this is the next episode in my Arc for Dummies series, Breeding 101. In this episode, I'm going to give you a basic guide to breeding, sort of just explain how it goes. I'm going to show you my incubation, how I do it. And I'm also going to show you how it is I do breeding. I'm going to show you two ways that people do breeding. One is the more common way, and one used to be the common way back in the day, that I still do today. But that's purely because I like the way it looks. I think it's more cosmetic and it helps me keep things in order for myself. But right, we'll get straight on. Straight in. As you can see, we've got a couple of Triceratops here, male and female. You know they're a male and female because above his name he's got that little pink heart. That shows that they've got the mate buff. Now, I said there are two ways that people do breeding. Now, the most common way that people do breeding is they simply just have their Triceratops or whatever dinosaur you are breeding next to each other, and both of them you go to behavior and enable mating. And they literally just stand there next to each other and they'll mate, and eventually the female will drop an egg. That seems to be the way most people do it. There is another way you can get them to mate, and that is to enable wandering. That's how we used to have to do it, because we never actually had that function to enable mating. You had to put them on wandering. So before, you had to sort of make sure they were contained. That isn't used anymore, and to be honest, no one uses enable wandering to do breeding, not even myself. But that being said, the whole containing the dino, I do like that, for a couple of reasons. One, it helps to keep my dinosaurs in order. I always end up building quite a large breeding pen. I'll probably do a guide on how I build my breeding pens in another video, but that'll be in my building tutorials section. Second reason is no matter whether you're on a PvP or a PvE server, fertilized eggs are a prized possession of any tribe. And if you're on PvE and someone's got some really really nice dinosaurs, it's some really cool colors, and it drops an egg and you've seen it, even though you're on PvE, there's nothing stopping you from grabbing that egg. So you do get people that do that. They sort of hide in the bushes, even on PvE, waiting for eggs to drop, because you may have especially if it's on a server where it takes a long time for them to breed, you may be going off and doing something else, and they quickly sneak out a bush, grab the egg and run off, and that's it. They've got your breeding line that you may have been working a very long time to get. Now, I mentioned colours. That is because if I go into the inventory of the Triceratops, if you go into show ancestors, you have a patrilineal and a matrilineal line. Now, I will go over this in another breeding video, more in depth. Let's say this is just a basic, so I'm literally just going to talk about the very simple things. But essentially, with the babies, this is the adult, so this has no mother or father. The babies, you'll have a mutation on both the matrilineal and the patrilineal. Now, if it says one mutation, now that means the baby is either going to have better stats somewhere. Say the father here is, the mother has got 1,875 health. Now you could get a mutation that makes that better. So it'll say one mutation and one of these stats will change. But occasionally, it'll also change the colour of a certain area of the dinosaur. And you can stack mutes. So you can get say a bright red body on a Triceratops, but then another one will have like blue horns. And as you breed the blue horns with the red body, you have a chance of the baby having blue horns on a red body. Now, I went ahead and I thought I'd show you what I'm talking about. And over here, I have got a over mutated dinosaur. So every single region is a mutation. We got like yellow decals on a cyan body with a red head and some red decals as well. So this is a rather brightly coloured. This shows you it's got lots of mutes. This also would mean it's got lots of stats, better stats. Now, as I said before, in regards to stats, I will be doing a later video on like how to really get the best out of the stats. But for this, it's literally just the bog standards on how to actually physically breed. But I did want to show you the colours, because if you're breeding out for the first time and you don't care about stats, this is quite a fun thing to go for. It's just trying to get some cool colours. Right, so let's get into the breeding. So I did show you could do the enable wandering, and I warned you about the whole someone could steal your eggs. Now, so what I like to do is I like to have breeding pens. This is just a simple medium pen. A large pen would use beehive doors, and a small pen would be considerably smaller. You wouldn't need the big evenly dino doors. That's more for like sort of maybe microraptors or dodos, whatever, any of those small ones. But for any sort of dinosaur that goes through a medium-sized gate, this is about the size of the breeder you're going to want. You could get away with making it smaller, but this allows you enough room to move. Also allows you to get more than one female in here. So the reason you're going to want more than one female is because after they've bred, there is going to be a waiting time before they can breed again. But if you have more than one female, you double your eggs, because the male can breed with as many females as you like. It's only the female that has to wait. So that being said, though, you may notice the wait time gets bigger every time they breed. The more time the male breeds, the longer the waiting time is on the female that he last bred with. So now we're in the breeder. Notice I've got a ceiling. I've also put in these little doors for my access. Makes it harder for someone to sort of sneak in behind me. Now, so I've got a ceiling. It's completely sealed off. No one can come in here and grab these eggs. I'll go on to behavior, enable mating on the male, and then behavior, enable mating on the female. Actually, that's the wrong way around. That's the female and that's the male. Now, I've been having this sort of bug recently where it sort of shows that they're not mating. I'm not overly too sure why it's doing this. There we go. Now they're mating. Notice how above the little pink heart, it's got these little red pulsating hearts. Now that shows that they're mating. And underneath the female, you'll see there's a loading bar. Now this will be very different from server to server. Everyone's servers have different sort of settings when it comes to breeding, mating, and maturation. Maturation is how quickly the babies will grow. So when you're picking a server, you're gonna want to bear that in mind. Like, do you want fast breeding or do you not want fast breeding? These are all down to your own personal preferences. I've got it set quite fast on this server because of doing videos. The last thing we want is a video waiting here ages for the mother to have a baby. So that's ticking quite quickly. While that's going, I'll quickly show you my incubator. So different dinosaurs have different temperatures that the egg hatches. So you can do this with fires. Some people put lots of campfires down or fireplaces, and they turn on certain campfires to raise the temperature and try and find the balance to hatch the egg. You may have to do this if you haven't unlocked a power generator and air conditioners. But if you have unlocked power generator and air conditioners, you can build one of these, an incubation room. Now this is kind of my design. I must admit I do it slightly different normally, but this is quite a compressed version. Now I have down here a bunch of air conditioners and a generator. You do need a lot of air conditioners because things like rock drakes and wyverns need a lot of air conditioners to hatch an egg. The larger the egg, the more conditioners you need. There is fuel inside my generator. And say I've got a whole bunch of air conditioners. I believe the minimum you need is 20. I don't actually know. I always just go more than I need when I build them. Now the reason I have that lower level and I raise my actual incubator up a bit is because if I come in here, oh, lag spike. Notice how the generator just sticks up out of the floor ever so slightly. That allows me to actually turn it on from up here. I find this very handy. The air conditioners are out of sight, out of mind, and they do still hatch the eggs from above. You may be wondering why I've got a Difflosaur in here. That's because, to be honest with you, when you go into mass breeding, you're going to be a bit brutal. And if the baby hasn't got a mutation, as far as you're concerned, that baby's useless. So you're going to kill it off. Now you can kill it yourself, which means sort of chasing it around. But something I tend to do is I'll keep a little Dillo in here that I'll just make sure his harvest settings are disabled so he doesn't get encumbered with meat. This way he won't pick up any meat. And I just put all his stats on melee. And he's on he makes sure he is on passive. Because if he's aggressive, he could kill your baby. And you may get an amazing mute, and then all of a sudden, baby killer comes over here and kills it. So this is a risk. But he's on passive at the moment, so make sure before you do any form of hatching that he's on passive. But once you sort of check the babies out that you want, if you realise that none of them you want, set him to aggressive, and he'll kill off the babies for you. So you haven't got to sort of chase them around with your sword or something, or run the risk of hitting possibly your fridge. Now, you don't have to have a fridge in here. If you do have a fridge in here, I sometimes, like, if I'm doing a lot of breeding, I'll put a bunch of eggs in here because it's completely concealed. It is relatively safe. But at the same time, I would never leave eggs in this if I'm planning to be away from the base for a long period of time, because obviously then someone could break the base, get in and steal the eggs I've got stored. Now these should have had their egg by now. There it is. Notice how a fertilized egg has got like this reddish glow around it. That's how you can tell if it's fertilized or not, because unfertilized eggs do not glow. Now if you look at the female, you'll see that she will not be ready to mate for another just over 7 hours. That's actually considered quite quick. There are servers that do it faster. So this is why you would normally want more than one female. But at the same time, again, for protecting your egg reasons, never leave your dinosaurs just breeding. Because someone could break in and steal the eggs and you could be offline. Or you could be away from the base for a long time. Never leave them breeding. Now you may be thinking, oh, but that would be such a pain, turning all of, say you've got 5 dinosaurs in here, turn them all off of breeding, then turn them all on breeding every time you want to breed. You don't have to do that. If you're just using certain dinosaurs for breeders, I tend to just name them, like M and male and female, or mum and dad, anything like that. And that way you can find the male quite easily. And if you just turn the male off, none of the females can breed. So that's one way of like stopping them breeding by only going to one dino. And then again, when you want to make them all breed, just turn him on, and they'll all breed. So that is your breeding. Let's say this is the incubator now. So you've got your fertilized egg. You turn on your generator, and there is your egg. Now all you'd have to do to hatch it is you drop it to the floor. Do not put it on your hotbar. Don't think that, oh, if I put it on my hotbar, that way I can drop it faster. If you put it on your hotbar and you press that button, you're going to eat that egg. So many people have accidentally eaten eggs. Now I know on PC you get a warning come up saying, are you sure you want to eat this? I don't know if it does that on PlayStation or Xbox. It's been a while since I've been on there, but they didn't last time I was there. And let's just say a little story. When I first started playing Ark, my very first ever Gigantosaurus egg, I ate it. And I was on a server where you had to wait an entire day for the Gigantosaur to be ready to breed again. My tribe mate was not best pleased with me. Bearing in mind that we made an agreement with another tribe to breed, because I only had 1 giga and they had a giga, we made an agreement to breed and each get but basically we made the agreement to make sure we both got breeders. We had to wait quite a while before we got our breeder. So I say, make sure you drop it on the floor. And there you'll see it's got health there on a red bar. Now that will continually go down, but you can stop that by putting it in a fridge. Well, I say it won't stop it, but it will prolong it. The second you put it in the fridge, that egg will last a long, long time. But a little bit of advice here when it comes to breeding, again, to protecting your eggs. Now this doesn't necessarily apply to a PvE server, because obviously your base is protected. But if you're on a PvP server, a little bit of advice: never, ever, ever keep eggs in your base. Don't keep eggs at all. If you don't have the time to hatch that egg, don't breed it. Because if someone breaks into your base, they could get your line. Keeping your breeds safe is very important on most servers, especially if you've got yourself some good Rexes or things like that. Don't give other people the satisfaction of stealing your hard work. So never ever keep eggs in a fridge unless you're planning on hatching them very soon, because obviously all the while they're in that fridge, they're at risk of being stolen. So yes, I have a fridge in here, but I would never keep eggs in here for a long period of time. I would only do that if I had a lot of eggs and I didn't quite want to hatch a few, like all of them at once. I'd put them in there just to keep them safe for a little bit, and I'd hatch them again later on. The second I'm about to go offline, if I do have any eggs in storage, I would just eat them. I would rather eat the eggs than have them fall into someone else's hands. So the other bar is that blue bar, the egg incubation. Now as that goes lower, that means the dinosaur will hatch. You also get a small timer. So some dinosaurs may take a long time to hatch, so you may want to put a timer on your phone to let you know when it's going to go off, so you can do some other stuff around the base. But again, make sure you have got it sealed off so no one can steal the egg while it's incubating. This has only got a few more seconds left, and once it's hatched, I'll explain what you do afterwards. So it's going to hatch there. There we go. So you'll notice it's in red. This is not your dinosaur at the moment. This counts as a wild. It's so cute. So all you have to do is you have to go up to it and then press action on it to claim it. Now you've claimed it, it is now yours. Babies, when they are born, are automatically on wandering. This is annoying, and I really wish that wildcard would change this. So the first thing you want to do is go to behavior and disable wandering. So now when you whistle stop, it's not going to go everywhere. Also, when they hatch, and as soon as you've claimed them, the first thing that happens is they're going to be following you. Again, you can whistle stop to stop them following you. Or if you want them to follow you, you can take them to wherever you want it to grow up. Another thing that you want to make sure you do is if you go into behavior, if you go to its stance, you'll notice it's on attack your target. Now, if you're planning on killing off a few babies, but you're keeping like one or two, you're definitely going to want to change this to passive. Otherwise, the second you kill off the babies, the dinosaur is going to get scared and it's going to try and run away. By putting it on passive just means it's not going to really care that its brothers and sisters are being brutally murdered. So now we've done that, this baby is going to starve because it has no food in it. So first thing you're going to want to do, sort of after you sort of made it, but to be honest, all these three things, doesn't matter what order you do, just do them quickly, and that is turn it to passive, turn off its wandering, and get some food in it. Make sure you've got the food in there before you hatch it. Another good thing about the fridge, you can keep some food in there if you need to. So he's now got plenty of berries. They have a limited amount that they can hold as babies, and it changes as they get older. As the older they get, the more they can hold. They also consume a lot of food, more than an adult does as they're growing up. So make sure they've got plenty of food. And never let them grow. See, at the moment he's on like a foundation here. Never let them grow up on top of a structure, because they quite often get stuck inside it. You're far better off luring it out. Now this is why I have multiple dino doors on mine, because sometimes it's just trying to find that right angle to get them out can be a pain, but this allows it easier for me to get them out. You don't have to do this, it's just something I like to do. So he's now following me out, and I'm just gonna sort of take him over here to grow up. That's good enough. So now he's stopping. I say you want to make sure he's got plenty of food in him. Now I'm gonna quickly craft something called a food trough. Now that is in structures, and it will be in wood and storage, and it's there. Feeding trough. Now if we go to my inventory, these can be placed straight on the floor, you don't need a foundation. Now inside the food trough you can put meat, berries, whatever you need. I don't think I actually have any berries around, but let's I've got some citronelle, why not? Let's treat it. It can have some vegetables. Normally you would literally just give, like, go out, get a ton of berries with your Triceratops or Bronto. Or if it's a meat eater, you would take your Carnotaurus Rex or whatever out. And I say, you put the food inside the food trough. Now, little word of warning. All the while they are in baby form, they will not eat from a food trough. I repeat that, they will not eat from a food trough. You have to actually put the food in their inventory while they're in baby form. The second they turn juvenile, on the other hand, like this one is, they will eat from a food trough. So you can put a large amount in there, and you haven't got to worry so much. You can see how in there his food bar is going up. which will make his health bar go up, because when babies are born, they come out pretty damaged already. If there is no food, it will starve and it will die. You can see he eats quite regularly. Certain tames eat more than others as well as babies, so you may want to bear that in mind. Prime example is the Gigantosaurus. He eats a truckload. So if you're ever planning on breeding Gigantosaurus, get enough food and then go out and get some more. Now you'll see it says it wants care in 1 hour and 15 minutes. What that is something called imprinting. Now if I access its inventory, you'll have at the bottom here an imprinting bar. Now depending on your server, depends on actually how much an imprint will, how much percentage that will go up by per imprint. Some servers have it set so literally you give it one imprint and it's 100%. Some you'll end up having to give it plenty more for it to actually get to 100%. Now, why do you want to imprint? Imprintation will improve multiple stats on the dinosaur. It also allows, if you are riding the dinosaur and you are the one that claimed the dinosaur, you will get a buff. It shows, I believe it's a couple of fist bumping in the top right hand corner, sort of showing that the person who claimed the dinosaur is riding it. Now I say claimed because say you're in a tribe of 3 people and your mate bred this really cool dinosaur and it's imprinted 100%. If he claimed it and you get on the dinosaur, you won't get that buff. Only he will get that buff. So it is worth breeding your own versions, especially if you're planning on doing the bosses with Rexes. It doesn't matter for the majority of the Rexes, as long as they're 100% imprinted. But the one you're riding, you want to make sure that you are the one that claimed that dinosaur. Now, I am not going to force you to stand around and wait an hour and 14 minutes. In fact, looking at how quickly he's maturing, I probably messed up one of my settings, but I seriously doubt. I think he's going to fully grow before that actually is an imprint. That's all down to settings, because the settings you can change the speed of the maturation, you can change the effectiveness and the speed of the imprintation as well. So that is all down to your server settings. So that will not necessarily be the same as this video. Yes, I think that pretty much covers breeding. So I've shown you how to breed them. I've told you the advantages of breeding in a box. I've shown you an incubating room, and I've sort of gone over the raising of the baby. Standard, it takes a long time to breed and raise and imprint dinosaurs. So you may find on servers you go to, it seems like it takes a long time. So you may want to consider that before you sort of pick a server, if you really want to get into breeding, to make sure that you take that into consideration. Remember that one of the things you're going to be looking for with every single baby is, oh my word, I actually got one on the very first, is this, mutations. It's got 1 mutation on its patrilineal side out of 20, so that's actually kind of handy. I'll quickly tell you, try and see if we can find it. Okay, so this baby's health is 1950. Let's have a look at the mum and dad, see if either one of them is 1950. Okay, so the dad is 1950, so it's got the same stats as its dad on the health. 405 on stamina. 405 stamina, so it's got the same stamina as dad. Oxygen is 525, food 9300. Oh, didn't mean to do that. Okay, so 525. Need for them is the same as dad's, but they might be the same as mum. Okay, would you believe it? So that's 495 on oxygen. I think this is. I seem to remember it's like, yeah, 525 oxygen. So that is the mutation on this particular one. See, both mum and dad have got under 500 on oxygen, whereas the baby has come out with more oxygen. So it's got better stats than both mum and dad on that one particular thing. That is where the mutation is. Every mutation, even if it's colour, will mutate a stat. And yeah, this has improved oxygen. The worst stat to possibly improve. But it's a mutation nonetheless. I say, sadly, it's not a colour. At least not one that I can see. But sometimes a mutation will bring out a colour. Which is, if you're breeding for looks, that's what you're aiming for. If you're breeding for stats, on the other hand, you want to keep more close to on the stats. And I will be going over that in a later video. So, I hope you found this video useful as a beginner's breeding guide. If there's anything you feel I've missed or you don't understand, put it in the comments section and I'll try and address it. If you like this video, please hit that like button. It really helps me a lot. As well as hitting the subscribe button, so that way you get notified for whenever I do another video in the series or my other videos that I do, as I do building tutorials and I do some requests sometimes if someone actually specifically wants me to do a specific type of video. And I've also got videos of how I'm actually playing on a server at the moment. So try and keep up to date by hitting that subscribe button. Until next time, take care. And speaking of next time, the next video I'm planning on doing is I'm going to be showing you my wall design. And I say wall design, this is a PvP defense that I do. I find it is resource heavy, but I do find it incredibly useful for your PvP defense. So I hope you enjoyed that video. I will literally just be explaining it, because I will be doing another video on actually showing how to build it properly in a building tutorial, but I'm going to be explaining the principles on it in my next episode of Arc for Dummies. So till then, take care.